Sonja Morgan's former neighbors mortified by Townhouse's new sober living facility. In case you missed it, Sonja Morgan's legendary townhome has been transformed into a sober living facility called Release Recovery by its new owners. The property, heavily featured on The Real Housewives of New York, is now home to 11 women in the midst of their recovery journeys, and allegedly, Sonja's old neighbors are pissed. Sonja Morgan's former iconic townhouse has been turned into a sober living facility. Sonja sold her home last year for $4.45 million via auction after years of putting it on and off the market. After the sale, Sonja thought the buyer would be living there with his wife. Ultimately, that wasn't the case. Release Recovery announced earlier this summer that they transformed it into one of its sober living facilities. They even put up an Instagram post highlighting the features of the townhouse, which will all look extremely familiar to Roni fans. According to Page 6, Sonja wasn't the only one surprised by the fate of the townhome. They spoke to locals, and they're not thrilled about a sober living facility in their wealthy, Upper East Side neighborhood. There are so many different people going in and out. At first, we didn't know what was going on. Several neighbors have been talking about it, even the doorman, one person told the outlet. One person called the sober living facility a disappointment. Another called it an issue in the neighborhood and pontificated on how it would impact the sale of their own townhome. Basically, this is a neighborhood full of people with zero empathy skills. Sonja should move back, one neighbor argued. Prior to the sale, Sonja said she was approached by a rehab facility asking to rent the townhome. Sonja declined because she didn't want it to be a nuisance for her neighbors. So, did the same rehab facility turn around and buy the property instead? It kind of seems that way, but they haven't commented on the matter. The Real Housewives of New York is streaming on Peacock and Hulu in the UK and Ireland. Tell us, what are your thoughts on the frustrations expressed by Sonja's former neighbors? Sonja Morgan's former Upper East Side townhouse, a beloved backdrop on Real Housewives of New York City, has been transformed into a sober living facility called Release Recovery, much to the chagrin of the neighborhood. Locals described an abrupt influx of unfamiliar faces. There are so many different people going in and out. At first, we didn't know what was going on. One neighbor remarked, "It has become an issue in the neighborhood. The house is like Grand Central. Sonja should move back." Others lamented how the house, once a charming part of their daily dog-walking route, now prompted surprise. "There is a shoe rack with tons of shoes. Now it all makes sense," one observed. Yahoo Plus 15 Page 6 Plus 15 OK. Magazine Plus 15. Morgan herself revealed that while she was approached about turning the property into a rehab center, she declined at the time due to concern for her neighbors. She said, "I couldn't do that to my neighbors," citing the Residents Association's likely displeasure. Page 6. A bit of background. Morgan had first listed the townhouse in 2019 at $11 million, but it ultimately sold in 2024 for around $4.5 million to buyers who had claimed they would live there. Meow Plus 15 Page 6 Plus 15 Page 6 Plus 15. The facility, Release Recovery, has remained mum publicly, though its website highlights upscale accommodations, some familiar to fans of her reality TV days. Meow Plus 12 Page 6 Plus 12 Page 6 Plus 12. Summary, approximate 300 words. Sonja Morgan's upscale Upper East Side townhouse, long known to fans as a setting for Real Housewives of New York City, has a new identity, and it's ruffling feathers in the neighborhood. Converted into the Release Recovery sober living facility, the home now sees a steady flow of unfamiliar visitors, leading neighbors to describe the scene as haphazard and disruptive. Several expressed being mortified, pointing out the disruption to property values and the loss of the townhouse's former charm. One neighbor even quipped, "The house is like Grand Central," a sign of both surprise and exasperation. Morgan, for her part, shared that she had turned down a similar conversion offer while she still owned the property, not wanting to upset her neighbors or the Residents Association. Despite the buyer's earlier assurances that the townhouse would serve as a private residence, its current use as a luxury recovery retreat appears to contradict those expectations. The elegant, 5-story home, once listed for $11 million in 2019, sold for about $4.5 million in 2024. The growing concern among residents is tangible: increased foot traffic, unfamiliar faces, and a renewed pressure on real estate sensibilities in the area. Yet, amid the stir, the sober living facility has stayed silent, and Morgan's former neighbors are left to process a transformation they never anticipated. Let me know if you'd like more background on the townhouse's sale, Morgan's reactions, or what the facility offers.